All right. Welcome, everyone. I am so excited for our May episode of the Grove webinar. And I actually was so excited I forgot the title of the webinar, but I knew it was about capacity. So I asked Davita to remind me. And it's Solving the Capacity Crisis in Your Firm, Controversial Strategies That Work. And I'm very, very excited to welcome my 5 panelists here because they all have a unique story to tell of how they have either conquered the capacity issue in their firms or how they are actually helping others conquer it. And so I'd like to just take a moment. I think everybody knows me. I'm Allison Ball, work at Liscio, doing various different things. And also we have the Grove here. So today I'm here in my capacity of the Grove. So I'm just going to go around the horn. And Penny, let's start with you. If you could just do a quick introduction, including the company that you have. And we'll get into how it solves capacity issues, but it's really just who you are and what your company is right now.
My name is Penny, and my company is Money Penny LLC. And we're a BPO located in the universe.
In the universe. And BPO, for those that might not be just
It's a bit, well, KPO, BPO, it's outsourcing.
Outright business process outsourcing. Yeah. Shahram, I'm going to come to you next because you're also a provider. I'm saving the practitioners and the providers separately. So Shahram, let's have you introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Shahram Zarshanis. I'm the founder of Financial Sense, and we're a practice management tool that really focuses on helping accounting firms get work done.
Right. And what size of firm what is your sweet spot for people that can use your solution?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we like to say we're for the average firm. And if you want to like to quantify that, probably like anywhere from a solo to like 20 users.
Right.
But the average firm that just needs something simple at the end of the day that they can use.
Right. And very usable. Yeah. Shawnette, let's move to you next. I'm just going around, and Dawn, you're going to be last, and Steve, you'll be after Shawnette, just so you can think about what you want to say.
So Allison is just, excuse my voice, I'm just trying to get it back. But you said my name and my company, correct?
Yeah, name, company, and just whatever you'd like the audience to know about you.
Okay, so I'm Shawnette Sullivan of the Shekinah Group LLC. I'm a business finance coach and consultant, trainer, speaker, and educator. So that's a new title for me because before it was an accountant and tax professional. And as we dive deeper into the webinar today, we'll talk about that. But I'm excited to be here, excited to be a part of the panel with Dawn and everyone else.
Yeah, and you have a unique story, and I'm looking forward to hearing that story and sharing it with the audience. Steve, let's have you next. You work at a very different firm than everybody else.
Yeah, Steve Perkins. I'm the CIO at Hogan Taylor LLP in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we're about 400 people in Oklahoma and Arkansas. And since I've been here, we've grown from 49 people in 2006 to almost 400 people now. So we've gone through massive growth, and I really love tacos and 80s music. That's what I want you to know about me.
Tacos and 80s music. That's awesome. I love tacos and 80s music too. So who doesn't? All right. Informal poll. Who doesn't love tacos? Or who does love it? Yeah. All right, Dawn. Now you are actually on a bus, which is an interesting story in and of itself. And there are people on the bus with you. And tell, for those folks that might have been living under a rock, and maybe this is their very first webinar and they have no idea who Dawn Brolin is. Do tell.
Oh, geez. Well, I am a CPA and a certified fraud examiner and the CEO and president of Powerful Accounting, Inc. out of Windham, Connecticut, our firm of three. And I'm just really thankful to be here with all of you and thankful that
I'm going to fill in for her. Thankful that she could be on the bus.
Oh.
Yeah. Thankful that she could be on the bus and that there's internet and there's Wi-Fi and then there's a computer. But the bus has an interesting story. So we'll get to that in a minute. But folks, the designated motivator is the and Brad, we're nobody's video is on, just the presenter's video is on. So we can't see you, but we can we can, oh, and then Dawn says, as long as she's on, and Joe says, as long as you're on the right seat on the bus. Yeah. I think as long as I was thinking as long as she's not driving the bus, then I'm okay. Like, don't be driving the bus and be on the webinar.
I look like I'm in the front.
Yeah, okay. We're having a little issue.
But
yeah, looks like we're having a little bit of internet issues, so we'll put Dawn on mute until we get into a better spot. So what I wanted to do was to frame up the concept of really what we're talking about, capacity. And capacity has so many different aspects to it. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to start with Shawnette. And as a solo firm owner, when did you actually realize? So you're going to go put yourself back into when you really, I'm going to put in bunny ears, just a practitioner and a CPA and practitioner. When did you actually realize that you had a capacity issue, and what did that look like for you? How did it feel?
So Allison, it actually started during COVID-19, when multiple family members, I lost a total of 18 family members, maybe 9 in the first 4 or 5 months of COVID.
Oh my word. I didn't know that. I'm so sorry.
I had no backup plan. I had no
backup plan.
assistant. I had some systems in place, but there was no one there was not another me. And when I did not function, business did not function. And of course, I was not able to function at all, dealing with the grief and death, but it really was an eye-opener that I really had a capacity issue. And I knew that, for one, I had to develop systems. Once I got my footing again, develop those systems, then trust enough to delegate some of those tasks. But once I realized that I developed the task, I developed the systems, started to delegate, I realized I didn't like what I was doing after I delegated.
Well, that was the outcome of it, wasn't it? That was like, oh man, do I really want to be spending my time this way? Yeah, and you took an interesting decision, which I'm going to hold for a moment, okay, on that one, because what I want to do is get some other opinions of what capacity looks like, and what it feels like to not have it. Like, so Steve, in a large firm, how does capacity factor into the day-to-day operations, and how does a really big firm think about capacity, and when do you know when you don't have enough?
Yeah, there's the biggest issue is that not enough students are coming into the accounting profession. That's like the big problem. And
so your issue is talent. Your issue is incoming talent.
Because we're used to having large classes from our traditional business schools that we recruit from. Large classes come in turn, and then we give offers to the right ones. And that whole model is kind of messed up now because of not enough students.
So what are you seeing? What are you seeing? Give us maybe a comparison because you've been at Hogan Taylor for a while, 10 years ago to today. What is the difference?
Yeah, I think it's shifted in the last maybe 5 to 7 years where there's just fewer students coming in. Since I'm in IT, I'm not at those recruiting events and meetings, so I couldn't tell you the specifics. I just know that we've been struggling since COVID with having the pipeline full of students.
Right.
So we've had to start thinking about recruiting from more diverse colleges in more non-traditional places than we ever have before, because we're just not able to get enough students from Oklahoma State, OU, Arkansas, the places where we typically recruit. So we're going to community colleges and, the smaller suburban schools and things like that. So it's been very tough, but we're doing all of the above. Everything that you're going to mention today that we're going to talk about, we're doing offshoring, even things like focusing on automation and taking a lot of the mundane work and giving it to a bot or a third-party service. We're having to do all those.
So you've got to have a lot. So hold the thought, Steve, because I'm going to come back to you on what is in your toolbox that you're currently leveraging. So Penny, over to you. Have you seen an increase in your business as a business outsource? What does the K stand for? K, you said KPO. Is that knowledge?
Knowledge process.
Knowledge processes. Okay. So
Because
Yeah, tell us what it's like from a provider standpoint of providing these services. What are people telling you now?
Um, it- nothing, there's no slow period. Like Steve, I've been at this for a few years, as you know, Allison.
Penny and
we-
I do go way back. We actually do. We're like, she might be the first person that I met in the accounting industry. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm closer to the
we
seventh
both
decade
started.
than I am to the
we-
sixth decade.
We
I know.
both started when we were 10 though, so don't anybody start doing the math. Yeah, we were
Hey, I
kids,
am proud of every gray hair I cover.
child labor.
So what I've noticed and what even my team in India has said, there is no seasonal work anymore. It's constant.
It's constant.
It is an amazing change that happened. It's kind of like a frog in a pot. We saw it happening, but like with Shawnette, for different reasons, but we saw what we thought was going to kill us, COVID-19, actually required us to add on to our building and put in a whole new floor and add new employees because the demand, even for firms that could fulfill and find people in the US or Canada, they
Right.
still needed somebody else in combination with apps and bots.
Right.
So yeah, it
Right.
just it's nonstop now. We have no slow season.
No
At
slow
all.
season. Yeah. So Dawn, your firm made a decision a while back that you were going to limit the number of hours, and we're seeing the experience, like the expression of like you're on the bus, you're literally on the bus, right?
Yep.
Literally on the bus. And you made a decision to choose a life that you wanted versus what you had. So could you talk through that?
Yes.
Because I think sometimes hearing, and folks on the call, we're actually going to turn to solutions really quickly. I just want to air some of the issues and things. And Shram, I'm going to talk to you in just a second about how Financial Sense thinks about capacity and planning and that type of thing. But what I want to explore with Dawn is what was it like before you? What caused you to make these decisions? And really, some of them were quite radical.
Yeah. I mean, going through the typical firm and doing the 12 to 14-hour days and the badge of honor of 80 hours in a week and those kind of things, like I was like, what is the point of doing this? Why am I doing this? Like, I'm literally killing myself.
Mhm.
I've always enjoyed accounting. I've always enjoyed the people that I've surrounded myself with. It wasn't really about that, but it was more of I had no life. And
Yeah.
so, you know, when the opportunity in 2019 came along for me to coach college softball during tax season, you know, that was a decision that I lost employees over it. I lost people over that because it was, well, wait a minute, why aren't you working 14 hours a day? You're supposed to be in here with us working 14 hours. And it was like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to have that life anymore. And I want to actually live my life and enjoy my
Right.
life. And so we just decided that. So because of that decision, if I hadn't made that decision, I probably still would be doing the 15 hours a day. I
Right.
probably would still be doing that.
Right.
But because I made that decision, I had to do some drastic changes within the firm structure, with its technology, with my staff. I didn't want to grow my staff. I didn't want to have a big firm. The most I ever had at one time were 10 employees. And I wanted to pare down and I wanted to have a life.
Right.
And I wanted to, because I wanted to do bigger things, like positively affect the younger generation, whatever capacity that looked like. And so I knew there would be sacrifices because whenever you take one thing on, you're giving something else away, and you
Right.
have to be okay with it.
Right. And so having your priorities is really super important. So from Shawnette, what I was hearing was that there was a crisis moment that really caused you to have to act. And at the time, and then you realized that you were like, you really wanted to do something different. It was kind of like that wake up call. You know, with Steve, I think it's an issue of thinking of, and Steve, you and I have had conversations about this, thinking about what are you offering the people that are coming in so that you're making them I'm jumping a little bit ahead, Like, if you can't find the younger people that are willing to come up through the traditional systems, we have to change the systems,
Yeah.
right? We have to change what we're offering them,
There's
right?
there's a whole another dimension to this that we haven't touched on yet, but I think everybody reassessed their lives during COVID. Like
Absolutely.
everybody, I did, everybody did. And you CPAs, I'm not a CPA and I've never had to work those 80-hour weeks, but many of you all, even the younger people, said, I don't want to do this kind of thing anymore. So people chose to go part-time and make less money, but be happier.
Yeah, but be happier. Yeah,
And that has
yeah,
shaken the industry.
yeah.
That's a big part of it is
And dying at your desk is no longer anything. It should never have been anything anybody wanted to do, right? Right. Now, Shahram, your firm, you actually created a tool to help people work more, have more sanity in their life. So tell me about your mission. Like, what was the sort of aha moment where you realized this was needed?
I mean, I think when you look at an accounting firm, there's a lot of stuff going. You're juggling client deadlines, you have all this client information, documents, all this stuff is all over the place, right? And like, Coliseo, you guys help with like the client communication. There's just
Yeah,
so
we
many,
can corral it into one place, which can take one of the pains off. Yes.
and it's like there's just all this stuff going on, and it becomes like this overwhelming, like disorganized chaos, like for the firm owner and the employees, like you're just juggling so much, it stresses everyone out.
Right.
So we wanted to create something that could help them manage everything in one place in like some organized fashion to where people, it gave a little peace of mind. They know, okay, we got everything done. I'm not waking up at night like, did I get that client work done, right? Or where is that information? You're spending all this time like asking people where it is or stressing out about it or where that conversation was. That's why we created, is we wanted to make it a little bit easier to get work done and just also restore a little bit of sanity to like that work schedule.
Yeah, the sanity I think is super important, because when you're faced with I'm going to pull a few threads here. When you're faced with a shortage of staff, of available staff, you can't just throw interns at it anymore. Where are you going to get the interns from, right? You have the opportunity to outsource, to send work. Maybe it's the lower end work, maybe it's the higher end work, because that's the interesting thing. What we're seeing with outsourcing now is that, and offshoring, is that you could actually be a bookkeeper and send your CPA stuff to a chartered accountant in India, right? Who's going to do it right. And so you have an extra layer of expertise there. And then what are you going to offer? How are you going to organize things and offer? And for a person doing that all on their own, that can be really challenging. There's some great comments in the chat here about, I want to just read out Jana's. My experience with outsourcing bookkeeping was horrendous. What's a good strategy to select a firm to assist with the capacity? And so there's some various answers in here, but I think that the main one is you have to remember that if you're going to outsource, that those are people, and you've got to have systems, and you've got to train, and you've got to actually have them help you determine the systems. So Penny, I've kind of lobbed that one over to you. Let's have you talk about, if you're going to use outsourcing, which is a great opportunity for you to really expand your capacity, what are the things that people need to know about it before you embark on it?
Oh, so many things. I've been at
So many
this
things.
for 25 years.
Tell us your top 2 or 3.
Top 2 or 3. Communication, without a doubt.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, you're working with small business owners, and you already have like craziness going on with their stuff. And then you're throwing it off to another culture, whether it's India, Mexico, Costa Rica, the Philippines, whatever. Different cultural mindset, different idioms, different, totally different. And you're just throwing it at them. And, communication is key. Mutual respect.
Yes.
And please, I'm glad Shahram's here. We have 4 firms right now using Financial Sense. We're probably in every workflow system out there.
Yeah.
I got a call yesterday from somebody who wants to outsource to us. I said, what's your workflow? He goes, well, we talk. That ain't gonna flip and work. And so I
Run
said, well,
away, run away.
I said, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't think this is a proper fit for you. But so
Yeah.
communication is key, mutual respect. And you start with those two.
Yep.
And then we listen to each other.
Yeah. I had the great opportunity when I had met you the first time way back when we were actually using a firm in India to outsource. And we actually found that it was just amazing to have the work done overnight while we were, but we had to have very, very good systems in place and communication. And you would actually spend time and you would consider that person because they were part of your team.
Yes.
And so we always had an overlap hour. Mine was in the morning when, they would work like slightly later hours their time. And so there'd be the morning hour, that first hour of the morning where we'd literally, make sure that we had conversations, right? Sometimes they were on the phone, sometimes they were on, back in the day, we used WebEx, there was a good communication string. So Shahram, I want to go to you for a moment. Let's say there's someone on this call, and I'm sure there's at least one person who has no processes and we just accidentally mocked them. And I want to apologize for that one person on this call who has no, because I know most of you do have great processes, and I apologize if you're feeling bad. How do people get started? You actually had done a little course on the Grove to help people understand, like, okay, I don't have any processes. I know I need them. I want to outsource, let's say, or I want to add new staff, or maybe I want to co-firm. We haven't talked about co-firming. How do I go about getting my processes created? That's going to take a long time. I'm really scared. I've got a lot of them. How do I do it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think you see this a lot with some firms is like, a lot of firm owners, like they're very detail oriented, right? It's sometimes why they're accounting in the first place. And that's a great thing, but it can also be a challenge when you're trying to create processes because you try to do it all at once. Like you try to make the perfect checklist out the gate, day one, and that can be really overwhelming. And your processes are always evolving anyways. So it's never going to be perfect. And it causes people to try to do too much and they get overwhelmed or they kick the can down the road. They wait, I'll do it next week. And the next week becomes next month. And next month becomes next year. So what we tell people is just keep it simple at first, right? Get the foundation. And then you can build on that and make it more detailed and more robust that will allow you to really delegate it and not be in the process. But keeping it simple is definitely the best step. We tell people like to make it like really simple, like time yourself, give yourself 5 minutes to just brain dump all that knowledge onto a piece of paper. Don't worry about the spelling, don't worry about anything. And once you get it on there, use a little autocorrects, like fix the spelling, but then you create a process that your team can kind of follow, or if you're outsourcing, someone can somewhat follow within 5 minutes. And if you can do that in 5 minutes, you can document all your processes within an hour. And build from there. So
and in Financial Sense, you can actually, I think, I might be wrong, but you could just like kind of upload those in there, right? And then they become the processes. Yeah. And then you can follow them and tweak them as you need for each client. Yeah. Steve, I know we've been talking about single portal. And can you explain how having a single portal can kind of help everybody move faster in a firm, and what that concept is? Because obviously we've had the concept of portal around forever. What is single portal, and why is that a different thing that people are talking about now?
Well, the CPA and accounting industry created this problem for ourselves over the last 20 years. As technology has advanced, every vendor has created a portal, a customer portal that solves a single problem. And here
there's too many of them, isn't there? It's chaos.
We're in 2023 now, and every vendor has a portal for a point solution, a point problem, and they don't all talk to each other. Right. And so now you've got, literally in our firm, when we did a discovery of this, we had 10 or 15 different ways that our clients can interact with us from the time that they're prospects to the time that they're clients, to onboarding, to email, to texting, to invoicing, to payment, to secure file transfer. We've got multiple ways to do that. to digital signatures. We've got multiple ways to do that. So you just look at the landscape, and it's crazy that these clients still do business with us when there's so many different ways so many things they have to use to interact. And
How's that impacting the firm's capacity? Like, draw the line for us if you could. Like, okay, you got clients having to go in all these different places, but is that slowing the firm down and not getting what the firm needs?
yeah, because all of that creates friction in the process.
Yeah.
All of it, and for both the clients and our people. And just the best example I've heard is that, look at the biggest banks like Chase or Bank of America. If they forced you to go to 5 or 10 different apps on your phone to do business with them, you would never use that bank ever. And so why do clients accept that with us? Well, it's because the industry is just like that. So Liscio is solving that problem like nobody else is. We've seen it. We know it's going to be huge. It's going to change the industry. So if you make it easy for a client to do business with you, they will stick with you forever. And
the key thing, thank you for that, Steve, because I think having gone deep with that as the CIO of a really large firm, you've got capacity and technology issues. That's what you deal with like every day, all day. And the interesting thing is that I think when you tame that beast, you actually do free up time, because Shram, your solution can't take over until people have the documents in hand or they have the answers from the clients, right? So folks, what I want you to consider is, when you think about capacity, is where are your staff wasting time right now? So I've just realized Davida has reminded me that I need to launch the polls. I have 3 polls. So let's find out where the audience is. Hopefully I have launched the poll and you can see it. And what I'm asking is, I just want to check in on the audience now. Where is your capacity in your firm? Which statement best describes? So are we fully staffed and we can easily handle our work? That's good. Some people are. This is great. We're okay during normal season, but during busier, we are, I can't read the rest. Oh, we're really struggle. And then the third one is we're always underwater. We have more work than we can reasonably handle without long hours. Okay, so we've almost got everybody. It's not required for CPE because CPE will be done through Earmark later. So don't worry about the CPE, but we really just want to hear from you. So I'm going to give it about 10 more seconds and then I'll share the poll. We've had about 40, 50 more people to chime in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and we'll share the results. Okay, so 50-50 essentially, 48 and 40 are okay but need help during busier season, and the other are underwater. And 11% of you, well done, you're fully staffed. That's great. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go over to Dawn now. Dawn, you've been hearing the different solutions. You took that radical step of you actually ended up losing staff and reduced your hours and things. But now you advise people. Yeah. And you have something called the designated motivator. And so what are your goals with the designated motivator and how does it help people understand what they need to do? And walk us through that process that you work through when you work with people.
Yeah, really at the end of the day, after I, kind of solid up, it's always up, put your mask on first before you can put somebody else's mask on. And when I realized that the technology needed to be my staff in a lot of ways. So I knew that and what I try to teach people is to just take a step back and take a minute and outline what I believe to be positions in your firm, just like the softball team, because I always relate to softball. But you take those positions in your firm. Everyone needs a workflow solution, which Allison, we're going to do spoil alert that Powerful Accounting is moving over to Financial Sense because
Financial Sense is an awesome product, folks.
it's just got features in it that
for a reason. Yeah.
I mean, I was blown away when I saw the demo, and this is fresh in the last couple of weeks because we knew, and that's the thing. Like every season, we take a look and say, hey, what worked, what didn't. Every firm has positions in their firm. They need workflow, they need client communications, they need payroll, they need accounting software, they need tax software. Like some of this is no brainer, but some of it is that people, like, we have these things we have to fulfill. We need to find the best players to play those positions, just like you do in softball. And so I knew I needed to solidify the technology. And what was also important to me is that they integrated the less data entry, the things that we didn't have to, that we could eliminate, would allow us to not have to bring on new staff. And I'm not saying I want to employ people. That's not what I mean.
Yeah.
But
But your firm right now is right sized, because the
It's
other thing you did was
right-sized.
you actually decided how many clients you wanted to have
yes.
and kind of reverse engineered. So that was an interesting solution as well. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. And really, the other day, what I try to encourage other practitioners to do is to reassess where they're at and define how big do you want to be? What kind of clients do you want to serve? How much do you want to charge people? Think about what does your ideal firm look like? And are you living in that ideal firm now? And if you're not, then you need to do something different. And really, it's just this. It's just your coconut. It's what's in here.
I love how you call it your coconut. Open your coconut.
Open your coconut. Open it up, because at the end of the day, so Shanette, nobody's your boss, honey. You build the firm, or whether you build a firm or you move to another direction with the accounting space, or like Steve, you want to grow huge. It doesn't matter. It's your firm.
Right.
And that's where I decided, like, this is my firm. If I want to work 30 to 35 hours a week, then I want to do it. Right. So I'm going to adjust and shift my staff, my technology, my client base, which we'll get to, shifting that mindset of how many clients do I want to serve. But really, it's about what you want. And so the more we can teach people, and then, I'm not saying my tech stack is the best, but my tech stack is the best. And so, I want the best of breed solutions that are going to solve the things that I believe are important in order for me to run my firm.
Yeah,
and that has revolutionized.
Yeah, so technology, it's an interesting thing. So designated motivator, we're going to pop a poll at the end and mention some of these things so that you can ask if you want more information. And so we'll go ahead and make sure you can get access to Dawn's book, and also understand how to connect with her. But the whole concept of, when you think about capacity, what I just want to sum up here is there's different elements of it. Right. And one person in the chat, and by the way, if it's a question you want us to answer on, put it in the Q&A, and if it's a comment, put it on the chat. But there was an interesting one, and I'm just scrolling back. Sorry, I'm not finding it. Someone said that they say, here we are. Lisa said, the only reason I answered we're fully staffed is because I routinely turn new business away because I don't have the staff. Well, turning new business away is a decision that you can make. And it is absolutely a decision that you can if you want to make that. Working only with the clients that you want to work with. There was some chat about paper clients are killing us. If you don't want to work with paper clients, you don't have to work with paper clients, folks. Let's just lay that one down there. And then there was some concern about where would the paper clients go? Would they work? Somebody said, I'm sorry, I have to read this out because it was so hilarious. Somebody said that basically that where would those paper clients go? To some old geezer who wants to die at his desk? And I thought, well, maybe, but you could also train those paper clients to, I'm sure those paper clients actually will deposit a check using their phone, right? So if they can do that, they can use something like Liscio. So there are solutions, right, for those paper clients. But the idea, what I love is, and I want to pull Shanette in now, what did you decide to do once you came to this conclusion that you didn't really like the work you were doing, and you didn't have a backup plan, and you definitely didn't want to build a big firm? So what did you decide to do that was kind of similar to Dawn in finding your joy in your life?
Well, what I actually decided to do, I already knew what my passion was. I already knew what my calling was. I knew that I had already outgrown what I was doing. It was a different season and it was time for me to move on. I just needed to take the next step. So what I did, I knew that all of the clients that I had, they did business because of me. They had their accounting work done and their tax preparation work done because of me. And I knew that I couldn't just let them go and just tell them that they had to find someone else. So what I did was I partnered with another firm and I made a warm transfer. So I allow the clients to meet with the firm that I partnered with, allowed them to ask questions so they could feel that I wasn't just dropping them off. I wasn't just handing them off. There wasn't.
Yeah, you were doing it with care. Like you were actually taking their feelings into account, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did lose some clients because they specifically wanted to work with me, but then
Oh, we lost Shanette for a
transfer, I
second.
actually did it. Yeah.
Say that last sentence again, Shanette. We had a little dropout.
Okay, so we made the warm transfer this year.
Yep.
And so finally and when I say the warm transfer, I completely transferred them over to her. I just wanted to make sure that I was a part of the process this year.
Mhm.
And now I'm fully into the speaking and coaching and training, which is
Yeah.
what most brings joy to me and the people I serve.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really interesting. I think sometimes we think that because we're good at something and we've done it for so long and we have people that rely on us, that we have to keep doing it. And would never want to say, because my passion is for accountants and bookkeepers and the work that you do and the big hearts that you have. But I would never want to say, don't be an accountant or don't be a bookkeeper or don't be a. But the interesting thing is that both Shanette and Dawn are helping other accountants and bookkeepers be successful because of their coaching. Right. And so it's a very interesting thing. Penny, when you started your firm, you did it because you wanted to help other people, be successful. Right. And help create that extra, talk us through why you started your firm and how that came about, why you started Money Penny.
Okay, turn my mic on. Because two women that I had worked with back in 2005 in India called me in 2013. They had been working on US tax returns, bookkeeping, and accounting since 2003 for the same company, but they were older now. They had children, they were married, and that wasn't fitting into the culture of the company that they were working for.
Mhm.
And they asked me if I would help them get started in an outsourcing business. And, I get those calls all the time. And I'd be like, no, I'm not going to help you. But I had known these women and I knew the struggle they were going through because I had lived in India as a female, a white female, but I did get to see their struggle. And I did, I had my own apartment. I had to do some of the things they did. And so I said, okay. That same day, we got a call from a franchise who asked me, hey, is there any way you could help us get bookkeeping done? And I went, yeah.
Yes. So
And
you said yes, and off
and
you
I
went.
said yes twice in one day. And now we have the only female owned and operated BPO. I'm sorry, gentlemen, has
Yeah.
nothing to do with the fact of men. It just is the way they chose to run
Yeah.
it. And I trust their judgment.
Yeah.
I know them. And so, yeah.
And we're getting people chiming in that they use Money Penny. Dario is the latest and says
Oh,
that
hi,
they do a
Dario.
great job on bank recs and credit card reconciliation. So you can decide what it is that you want.
Yeah,
that
we
you
have
want
teams
to-
that we work for large multi CPA firms and like what we do for Joe and
Yeah.
tax. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I've got somebody, my two partners have been doing this since 2003.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
got 20 years. Yeah. Let's go ahead and pop us the second poll, because I think this is going to take us in a little bit of a different direction. Let's start looking at with the attendees. What do they think is the main reason? Unfortunately, you've got to choose one. But if you want to do all of the above, you can. And if you say no if you say no, do put it in the chat so that we can see what your capacity issue is. We've got one person that says no. So the first one is we waste a lot of time waiting for clients to send what we need. This slows us down. The second one is our business has too many peaks. We can't catch up. The third one is we're disorganized. We can't seem to get in the groove. And then there's a good number already that are saying all of the above. Tony, thank you. You just chimed in difficulty in attracting new staff. Oh, Julia, talent not being able to get up to speed. Okay, so that could be a training and onboarding issue. Okay, great. Oh, lack of managers filling certain roles. Okay, so we're actually getting quite a lot of things. Oh, small firm cannot offer health insurance or retirement at our size. We actually didn't talk about benefits. That's an interesting one. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll here, and I'll share the results. Interesting split. There's an interesting split. And we are seeing people chiming in about attracting the talent. And I think I would submit to you all that it's not just a talent issue. I think you need to look at, Shahram, let's go ahead and have you tell, like, kind of how do you talk to people when you think about processes and how that can help do more with less? How are you seeing that? And you're on mute. So go ahead, and we do want to hear what you have to
All
say.
right, I'm back.
Yeah, you're back. How
So
much time can people save if they are able to systematize, and typically?
a lot. I mean,
A lot.
we've seen a lot of firms that can handle twice the amount of clients or more if they really do a good job of like putting in systematizing their firm, documenting their processes, automating their processes. And that's where we see some of the biggest growth levers are, right? So like first, like documentation, right? Like we talked about earlier, just put your processes, get them out of your head onto a piece of paper or in something that your team can use as a guide. So they're not trying to do guesswork and they make mistakes, which causes rework, or it's your day to ask you questions, right? So that like empowers them to get work done a little bit more quickly and efficiently. And then once you've documented everything, you kind of see, are there like some repetitive steps? Can we automate those steps, right? Once it's out there in front of you. So you can automate those processes so your team can get more work done. So 2 people can handle the work of 5 people, right? And then organization, like we talked about earlier, if your team can't find the information, even though you have it, but it's like on a sticky note somewhere or in some folder they can't find.
Or in someone's head. I think the worst is in someone's head or in email strings. You got to get it out of email, people. Email's the worst. I think email is the worst. We got people chiming in that they don't have time to create these processes and things. So I have a tip for you that I used to use when I was the controller of a local county hospital, and I had 9 staff, and we used seasonal staff at times to bring in people and all that. And what we would do is we'd actually have everybody train everybody else on everybody else's desk. So that's one thing. Have everybody move one desk over and train each other, and you create the processes for that new desk that you're on. Because the other thing is when you hire somebody new, have them create the processes, right? And then if you're not hiring, then you can just document the way Shahram said. There's a great little mini course on the Grove. It's only 15 minutes long. And it's Shahram, it's the only course you've got on there. So they just have to look for Shahram. I forget what it's called. But it is, how to document your processes or something like that. And I thought it was really interesting, just the process that you go through, just get them out of your head, and then you can tighten them up as you go. And then, definitely use something like Financial Sense, and we've got lots of users of Financial Sense on this call. So they're all chiming in and saying, yeah, we love it, So interesting, very interesting things. I think people are generally thinking it's a lack of staffing. So Steve, do you think that it's all lack of staffing, or do you think there's process and technology in there as well?
Oh my gosh, no, it's not just lack of staffing. It's I'm a Lean Six Sigma green belt, so I brought process improvement to my firm about 7 or 8 years ago, and this is like one of the last great frontiers of eking out additional efficiency in your firms, is looking at your processes, like Shahram was saying. You don't have to spend a lot of money on it, but you have to be honest with yourself about whether you as a partner or you as a manager are introducing friction into your firm by personal preferences. CPAs are all type A people, and they want their markups and their periods done a certain way, whatever.
Yes, they do.
Let me tell you that if an admin has to know 4 or 5 different ways of doing the same thing, because of your personal preferences, you are the problem.
You are the problem. Yes, sorry,
you are the
everybody.
problem.
You are the problem. If
Yeah.
you are that road bump, that
Yeah.
speed bump.
And it's costing you money, and it's causing people to leave, and you need to be aware of that and get your processes on a whiteboard, sit down and do what the current status or what's the current process, and look for loops and waste in your
Loops
process
and
where
waste.
value is not being added in your process. And if
Right.
there's a step where value is not being added, you got to get rid of it.
Get rid of it.
You can gain so much capacity by fixing your processes and standardizing. You won't even believe it. It's amazing. But
And
you got
count up how much technology too, because Steve, so I think you and I were talking about the Harvard Business Review, the toggle tax. And how much extra load you put on your staff, which causes burnout, by the way, the more things you make them use.
Yeah.
And the more times you make them flip back and forth. And email is the ultimate toggle.
Yeah.
In and out of email, in and out of email.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Shauna, when you coach people, how do you identify the challenges that they're having? What questions do you ask to get them? I'm just asking you to flip into your mind as being a coach here. And what questions should people be asking themselves? Steve just gave us a good one. If you've got a good process that's not the same as everybody else, you're the problem.
Yep.
What else little things could people ask themselves?
So when I'm coaching someone, I ask them first ask them what their problem is. I ask them what their pain parts are, which give me the insight on what questions to ask. So the question is not the same for everyone.
Right.
So
Sorry, I kind of put you on the spot there, didn't I? It's like, oh, well, everyone has a different problem. Let's pretend you're coaching me though, and I'm just too busy. I'm just like, I feel like I've got to hire people and I can't hire people. What would you ask me?
Okay, I'd ask you, Allison, where are you now? Like, what is currently working for you?
So get a baseline of what's working. Okay.
Get a baseline of what's working. Okay, so where are you now? And tell me where you'd like to be, where you'd like to go. And so we always begin with the end in mind.
Yeah.
So we start, okay, let's see where you are, where you'd like to be, and how do we get from here to there?
Right. And then along the way, you're going to uncover things. So Dawn, you've got a good process for after every season, you guys do a review. And what specific things do you do so that you've got this continuous improvement mindset?
Yeah, so we keep a list all through tax season. Really, we keep a list all year round. It's not just during tax season. And so we keep the list and we all contribute to it, whether it's myself, Tracy, or Nicole. And we say, okay, this is broken. This isn't working. I spent too much time on X, Y, and Z, whatever the case may be. Or, one of Tracy's biggest things was when someone would call, they wouldn't leave a message. She would only have the phone number and she wants to know who the person was before she calls them back. And she's like, with what we're using right now, I can't look up phone numbers in our existing system. So that was for Tracy, that's been a pain point. That's a very simple example, right?
And such an easy one to fix, isn't it? Such an easy one to fix. Yeah.
Right. So we look at pain points. What are the pain points in the firm? And after tax season, we debrief and we go, okay, what do we need to fix? What are we missing? What went really well? We talk about what well as well. We're like, did we make the right decision to switch to Liscio for client communications? Yes or no? Is it working?
Because you do need to continually review. By the way, there's a question here that I'd love you to answer. Teresa says, how do you get out of email? That's a very new concept to me as far as ways to eke out of more efficiency. So maybe you could answer that as you go, because it feels like you're just talking about client communication. So that question's really relevant.
Yeah, it's super important. And the whole I hate email too. So amen, I'm with you. I loathe it. So for me, I want to be where my clients are. So I need to create a space for them where they're like, yeah, I'm on the go. This is where they want to meet you here, by the way.
Like your banking app, right? Like because they always have this, right? You can always get their attention for this, right? They're not always at their computers.
Right. Yeah. And it needs to be secure. It can't be texting. It's got to be somewhere where they go. So as far as that client communication, we implemented Liscio. And now this is why I tell the clients, I say, I made an app for you. It's called Liscio. Don't ask me why I made an app
for you.
made an app for you.
I created an app for you. I bought an app.
I bought an app, which is true. And so, and I will just say I'm a little bit of a bully. I'm like, hey guys, listen, this is my firm.
You're a nice bully though. For some reason, people will allow you to bully them in a way that is they love it.
Well, and I tell them,
They're
I
like,
say,
bring it
listen,
on, Dawn. Come and bully
Yeah.
me.
and I tell them, I say, listen, I need to be able to communicate with you, and I want you to be able to communicate with me.
Yeah.
Email isn't going to work. Texting isn't going to work for me because I'm not giving you my cell phone number. No way.
Well, and also texting is that ultimate silo. So when you're looking at what's not working, and Steve mentioned it earlier, silos. Oh, the more silo information you have, the more you're asking your staff to pull things together.
Yes.
Right?
And we need full transparency across the board. And I
Mhm.
need to know what Nicole's doing, or what Nicole, if I'm on the bus and I know a client has answered something and there's an action that needs to be taken, Nicole
Yeah.
can go do it. They don't have to wait
Right.
for me to get back on Monday. Right.
And
I
that's
know
what these
Penny,
sorry, Dawn. That's what
sure.
apps like Financial Sense and Liscio, and there's others obviously. Steve mentioned Teams as a good one to keep your team internal communication. I know some people use Slack, but the idea of bringing everybody together into one space that is cloud-based, because then what happens is you're basically getting everyone together. So keep going, Dawn. I just wanted to, there was people
Yeah.
that were, yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people in here who are saying, hey, listen, I can't train my clients to use it. I'm struggling with getting them to use it. So here's what I'll just tell you how I approach it. So how we've transitioned people into using Liscio, it's going to take a little time in some cases.
Yeah.
Most cases, the clients like download the app, they get the link, they register, they're all good, it's fine. But that's the majority. The minority of people who are struggling, we invest the time because it's worth it.
Yeah.
Tracy, we appoint someone. For us, it's Tracy. She is the face of the Powerful Accounting. She's the client interactor. She loves to talk to the clients. And so she's like, hey, John, listen, let's just jump on a quick call. Before we jump on the call, download the app. Now they have to go to their email initially, get your initial email. Do you see it? Okay, John, great. Click on it, create your password. All right, now let's get off the email. Now let's go back to your phone, log in. Okay, now you're direct connecting with Dawn.
Yeah.
And they love, and it's really about the way you present it. It's never in what you're saying, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
And so
with
that's how the
everything.
approach we taken. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
with
then
everything.
there's a point, like what I love, Andrew Wall. Andrew Wall is the man when it comes to shutting down email. And if you email Andrew Wall, his email reply is, I hate emails
email.
and I'm not answering you.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
not
really
optional.
bold. That's very controversial if
bold.
you think about it. That's really
Yes.
bold, but you can definitely make change. I think the thing is we've got to make sure everyone understands on the call that, and you've all mentioned it, you can have the firm that you want to have. Like, so have that goal in mind. What does your joyful firm look like? What does your joyful life look like? Right? You don't want to be spending, you don't want that 15-hour. Well, if you do want 15 hours at your desk, fine. If that's what gives you joy, great. We're not going to poop on that. But if you don't want that and that's not working for you and you've got other things that you want to do, and you're just feeling ground down, then, there are a lot of options here. And one of the things that I think we've uncovered is that hiring staff may not be the first thing that you need to do. And so if you find yourself kind of, now hiring staff needs to be in your mix if you're a firm like Hogan Taylor, because you're going to continue to grow and continue to take on new clients and more exciting. You guys offer so many services to your clients, Steve. You've even got like an HR service, right? You've got all kinds of stuff that you offer, right? Hogan Taylor is full service with a capital F,
Yeah.
right? So having the systems in place to support that, and then I think not being afraid or concerned about being willing to have those offshoring conversations if you want to keep growing, if you want to keep few people were saying we're fully staffed because we turn away clients, or being willing to turn away clients, right? That's okay too. You can be, and then Dawn, what I love she said is like, and it's okay to be a little bit of a bully if you want to do that. I was thinking about like marshmallow or dictator, right? You don't have to be either,
Yeah.
right?
Nope.
Yeah. So let's go ahead.
Yeah.
We've got another poll here. I want to get it up before, because I forgot to bring it up the last time and people were like, oh, I thought we were going to have an opportunity. So let's go ahead. And if there were any others, we can put them in the chat. If you'd like any more information, we'd be happy. We didn't mention TOA Global. So Steve, that's an outsourced firm that you use as well. Do you want to talk quickly about TOA?
Sure. They're based in the Philippines, and it's a model where they have a work center. Employees, you hire the employees, but the employees go to a central location. They use their equipment, and
But they're
it's
dedicated employees, like for you, right? They only
Yeah.
work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
we don't
Penny,
have,
I think,
we don't have
sorry,
to do-
Steve, keep going.
we don't have to deal with really much of the technology or the logistics of
Mhm.
them getting our computers and such as that. So that's worked
Right.
out very well for us.
Right.
So well, in fact, that our firm is or setting up our own entity in the Philippines and India to provide these services to ourselves and
Nice.
smaller firms.
Yeah, and that you can do that at scale because you have the resources, right? And you're larger. I don't think that's not for the faint of heart, though, is it? There's a
No.
lot of.
Not at all. Not at all.
What do you need? Like before a firm would consider that, Steve, what do they need in place? Like probably a lot of legal, and there's a lot of stuff involved, right?
Privacy, human resources, processes, and
Yeah.
it's a huge effort.
Yeah.
But for smaller firms, in fact, what we did first was outsource it to somebody else that already was experts at it. So
Right.
that's a totally viable way of getting new staff.
Yeah.
Something else I wanted to bring up before we get done is that a recent phenomena that's popped up in finding people is that private equity is coming into our industry very quickly and making investments. And we've found that when private equity buys a stake in a firm, a lot of employees they're not on board with that, so they jump ship. And we've just found that you can gobble up several people from a firm that has just taken a PE investment. In fact, we just hired 5 people in Louisiana from one firm that took a
Oh,
PE.
that is so interesting.
So be
Because
aware
they
of that.
don't want to be owned by a private equity
Right.
firm. I mean, they would rather be owned by a firm.
Yeah, so
Yes.
good people are coming into the marketplace that want to go back to a traditional
Mhm.
firm. So be aware of that.
Yeah,
That
so
is,
I'm going to jump in really quickly. We're going to redo the poll because it was only allowing single
oh,
entries.
go
So
ahead.
I've just made, I don't have access to it,
Oh.
but if you click it, I've made a new poll for multiple entries to be put
I
into the poll.
apologize, everybody. Let's go ahead and if you'd like to click more than one, go ahead. And I apologize. Thank you, Davida,
Okay.
for jumping in. See, this is why I need Davida behind the behind the scenes, because otherwise I do things wrong and I don't even know. Thank you, Davida. Yeah, this is why it takes a village. I'm telling you, folks. So I hope that this, in order to, we'll just leave the poll running for the next few. We've only got about another minute left. Just to wrap up, I think there have been some really fantastic tips shown here, and I do hope that people will take the one or two that makes really good sense for you, and and do think about where technology or having help, having coaching, having access to, someone like Dawn's book, or thinking about different ways of staffing. One of the things that I wanted to mention, because it came up in our last time that we talked about this on a webinar, is some folks felt that they were having trouble finding jobs because they were a little on the older side. So don't always think it has to be a 23-year-old or a 25-year-old or a 30-year-old that you hire. You could
And
find
it doesn't
someone.
always have to be an accountant. You're a technology company. Try
Right.
thinking outside the box on the type of person you're hiring.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Great ad, Penny.
Because
Okay,
no, I'm telling you,
I
for you
hear ya.
internally, the technologist should be the one onboarding your client to the apps.
That's
They
right.
should be dedicated to taking care of that client experience, so you don't have to.
That is absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hire people that can orchestrate the technology rather than entertain
Orchestrate
it.
the debits and credits.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. I love that. I think that actually might be for me, the best tip, because I came up, I wasn't a traditional accountant,
I'm not an
know?
accountant.
right?
I don't know shit about accounting. Sorry.
It's all right. We we can bleep at the end. All right, everybody, thank you so much. For those of you that did say that you would like information, we'll make sure that we send you an email with the contact information and everything. And I just want to thank my amazing panelists. I knew that the hour was going to go really fast, and so thank you all. And Dawn, good luck in your playoff.
They're gonna win. They're gonna win.
Dawn's living the dream. See, she's on the bus. She's actually on the bus. So anyways,
Let's go.
Magic
Tell those
bus.
kids.
all right. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.